Hello everyone, it's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Afolabi, and as always, I have the ladies with me. You know, when I say it's Wednesday, I look at you guys to see if it is. Sure. But none of you are looking at me. So I hope it is Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. You got it.
How you doing, Nima?
I'm fine.
Good to see you. What's up?
It was a rush yesterday at the vaccination center in Amuodofi. Serious rush.
Finally? You vaccinated? Finally.
Nice.
Nice. I'm glad.
I wanted to, because I kept watching the King of Boys over and over again, so I want to give special shout out to the actress, the casts of the movie, the actors and actresses.
You have done this before
They are paying you for
No.
They are really following.
This is the only thing that is raining now.
What happened to Are?
K.O.B.
No, Are was, yes.
Sorted.
Inse, you know Inse is a darling. Then our own Tokpa Olobodiyan.
Yes, she was amazing.
Olowoniyan. I kept going back to the last series, the seventh series. Too much. Well done to all of them. To Shola Shobowale, you know.
Every single character had a strong.
I liked her character.
For me, I think it's the job of a very good director.
Yeah.
When you
To
bring out,
to know where to put them.
Yeah.
know where to put them.
Odogu Male for me.
Okay, can we move on?
Let's put them now. I'm not the rapper.
That was what I like. I'm fine, but we might as well just gist about it. What do you guys think? No, we're not going to.
What are you waiting for?
But you see, I like that. What's the name of her campaign manager?
In the
I know him as Mr. Fascino. So I've seen him in other, movies where he's like well-spoken and but then they brought out like I'm sorry, it's the character I'm talking about, like a bumbling idiot. And he did it so well, and I was like, this has to be a job of a very good director. To understand that, this actor can do this and bring it to fruition. Well, of course, the person that gave me goosebumps, Tony Tones. I mean, when I'm like, I will get like, physical goosebumps.
Yeah. The Shobowale was just so amazing. For me, Tony Tones was my own best character. I mean, anytime she shows up, I just get the same things. We're like, oh my goodness,
just grabs you.
So you are not talking about
grabs you.
No, you know you started it.
You started it, let's finish it.
We're waiting for King of Boys. Please, let us come and tell us.
Let's enjoy the movie.
Anyways, how you doing?
I'm doing amazing. We're still talking about the movie.
Yes, so let's just talk. Let's just forget about it.
So for me, Shobowale was just so I watch her movies and I see her as one of the best, Nigerian actors. She's able to interpret her roles. But, the sort of roles we see is mostly the crazy, she's shouting and all of that. I was able to see her play different roles at the same time. Calm, when she needs to be calm, when she needs to give you the look and everything. I was like, whoa, this woman is good. She was obviously one of the best people that I enjoyed. Shout out to the
cameras. Angles. I mean, that last scene, man.
Cinematography.
Oh, Lord.
It was good.
Between the Tony Tones and Enela Salami.
You mean the ritual, the final scene?
So the final scene.
In fact, I don't know how that thing
like
was shot.
10 times. And when it's just...
It's just I don't want to do story. There's one part that I like.
Okay,
very bad. I don't want to say it. For those of you that have not seen it,
it was
a part that was so powerful.
So Nima started this thing.
So
it was KOB.
I'm sure you will watch again today. Once I have this conversation, I keep going. This is the 7th time I'm watching it.
That's good for you.
Are they going to be charging me again?
Yes, they will charge you. You use your data.
You have done
but what I took out of that part was the fact that they use the subconscious. So when I'm watching movies, I am learning. I was like, how come somebody in your head would use you to carry out that action? It was at that point I knew that, this person goes school. The scriptwriter, Kemi Adetiba, she finished work. She was able to bring out the subconscious to us to see. If you don't pay attention, you may miss what exactly happened at the time.
And I like the fact that the pastor did not collect bribe. There's the normal rhetoric is that not collecting, as in.
You did not see the file that they gave him.
Yeah, exactly. He was threatened now. He was
that
initial rhetoric of come and collect. So take the money.
He collected with style.
He was blackmailed.
He was not. Apart from that was a collection.
Yes.
But we don't want to spoil it for people. He collected.
Nima has spoiled it for people. You know that started this conversation.
I didn't
anyways.
You didn't see the ending.
Go back and watch it
now.
I can do it for you now.
A nurse did the job for Are. Won't find us like this.
Wow.
She's a nice syringe. Fantastic. And Are was sorted. Okay. If you're watching it, just make sure you don't when you start seeing the name scrolling, just
please leave end credits. Watch end credits.
And I like to watch end credits because I need to know who did what and
Thank
what.
you. That was what got me to that.
With the movie I'm out.
Can we go to our show now?
Yes, we can.
Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll go to the front page of the paper. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, the nation. Buhari, policy consistency puts economy on rebound. Non-oil sectors on the rise. PDP elders in talks with Wike on party crisis. Super Tucano jets deployed to battle bandits and insurgents. JAM scraps uniform cutoff mark in UTME. Banks to publish names BVN of Forex rules breakers. An anti-open grazing bill, Akeredolu signs documents, no bill before Anambra and the lawmakers. Okay, let's start with the major headline, Nima.
So the president was, just applauding himself for the last 5 years. He said we had a growth in our GDP this year, in this year's Q2, about 5% growth. And he's saying that this is because of, after COVID, we're almost getting to the new era, taking credits. He was speaking at the launch of the Nigerian Jubilee Fellows Program. And just saying that, innovation, several factors, job creation is what got us here because other sectors, non-oil sectors is where this growth reflected, trade, communications, electricity. But somebody mistakenly go and put agriculture there. I don't want to believe.
When you say mistakenly
go and put agriculture there. Because they said agriculture, manufacturing power, and I just feel that it's a mistake because insecurity is major and we cannot deny how this has caused a spike in everything because people can't farm as they should and we can't meet local demands of food alone. But then they counted all of this and then they then said that under that National Nigeria Jubilee Fellows Program, the 20,000 recent graduates would be employed, provided employment opportunities. But these are not supposed to be permanent employment opportunities. That's another wahala for me. But then let's just let them shine. This is post-COVID. Okay. Countries that they are comparing to have COVID. And they've not grown out of it. So
the Central Bank of Nigeria has decided to publish names of customers who tried to break the rules on Forex. Forex acquisition, they're going to be publishing the names on their website. So according to them, they got a report that a lot of the customers are using fake visas to access Forex. So some of them will present like they are traveling outside the country, and then they'll get the PTA and the BTA, and they won't go anywhere. So they are saying that this is going to definitely affect the integrity of the Forex, and so they are going to find ways to curb it. And one of the measures they are using is that you must provide a valid international passport. You must provide the visa to the country that you are traveling to. And if peradventure you do not travel, after 2 weeks, you should return the Forex back to the banks to find a way to...
So JAM is saying that they have cancelled general cutoff marks. So they would not be deciding the cutoff marks for university and other tertiary institutions, but the institutions themselves will decide that, and that the cutoff marks will be a combination of the JAM scores, the university minimum benchmark, SSC, and practicals, where it is necessary. And in the meeting, while they were having this discussion, some of the universities gave what their cutoff marks would be. University of Maiduguri says 150. Madam Fodios Sokoto says 140. Pan-Atlantic University 210. University of Lagos says 200. LASU says 190. Covenant University 190. Bayero University Kano 180. This is worrying. So what it means that some universities can have really low cutoff marks. I was saying that this will also affect it at the job market, where some jobs now would say, if you are from a certain university, don't bother applying to this place. So we'll see how it will work. But also, let me just add, can I just finish?
There's never been this bad. Finish.
Yes. So also they said the fee for JAM is 2,000 naira. no institution to ask people for extra administrative charges or anything. That is 2,000 naira.
The JAM form.
The admission, yes.
UME form.
Yes, it's 2,000 naira flat. No more asking people for extra money.
This is totally, for me, this is how we got to where we are now. Dropping the standards per time. Now 5 JAM by right. Now
that's always been like that.
It was 278 to get into LASU to study law. I couldn't meet it.
Bad.
Eventually, I didn't meet it. They just sort of did it that made me get admission. It was so that the best of the best is what we produce. And we know that some schools up north, particularly, I'm going to say it here, they had a lower standard. But these are the people who graduate and they're already they filled up all the jobs.
Yes.
It is
government jobs,
especially the government jobs.
As an institution must have it's 4 courses I think it's worth. If you take 4 people, how can you get
topic. We have
admission
to we can't discuss it now, but it's worth talking about it. Moving on now to the Punch. NMA Johesu kicks as 5G threatens sanction. 6 Tucano jets cost almost $500 million, says United States envoy.
Wow.
Court remands Ekiti man for raping 17-year-old daughter. Fix your cutoff marks, JAM tells varsities. With all salaries due to positive or false, says Akeredolu. PDP leaders visit Jonathan, beg ex-president to stay. Afenifere tells Nigerians to defend themselves against bandits. Out-of-school children, FG not responsible, says Oshimbajo. Pengazin blames rising cooking gas price on Forex. Open grazing Lagos Delta Cross River bills pending as deadline ends today. Okay.
Yes, let me take the human interest story quickly. So a man, Emmanuel Bejide, a 40-year-old from Ekiti State in the Ikere-Ekiti area, has been remanded by the courts for raping his daughter. According to investigation, it seems that this has gone on he's done it several times. His daughter is 17 years old. She reported to the police and said that he had first lured her in 2020 to a hotel where he was, sleeping with his own biological daughter, promising her a trip to Malaysia or taking her there. And then August 2021, thankfully, he was caught and he's been in police custody while more investigation goes on.
So the major headline, the federal government on Tuesday hinted that it might sanction anybody who refuses to take the COVID-19 vaccine after it has been made available to all Nigerians. And they said that they might toe the line of Ondo State and Edo State, who are all talking about doing the same thing. So if you do not have your vaccination card, you're not allowed into public places. And the federal government is saying that this is going to be done to apply the basic rules. So a basic rule of law, which means that your right stops at the point another person's right starts. So you can choose not to have the vaccination, but then you do not have a right to endanger the lives of other people. So they said they are making plans to ensure that the vaccines are available to all Nigerians. They are still bringing in more vaccines as we speak. However, the Nigerian Medical Association and Johesu is saying that this is just not sensible at all, that taking vaccination is compulsory senseless because, people have a right to either choose to take the vaccination or not, just the same way they have a right not to take, medical health care serious. It's their life. And if the federal government had found ways to make sure that the vaccines are available to everybody, then you can say you don't have a right to reject taking the vaccines. Okay. That
even if it's
rather than making it, forcing people to take the vaccines, they should make people understand the need to take the vaccines.
So even if it's compulsory to take it, I think it's illogical, like my brother said.
I just like to be spoon-fed.
Why?
It's in your face.
Exactly.
It's in your face, you don't get it.
They were saying it's illogical to say you have the vaccine, but then somebody's putting you already have the vaccine at risk because you didn't take it.
Yeah.
I think you are already protected. So it's the person who refuses to take it, whose life...
No, that's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
No, that's how it works. That's the logic. I didn't take it. I'm the one who is exposed. You have the vaccine. You're protected.
No, well, that's not how it works.
Basic logic.
A certain a percentage of the people have to take it to have that immunity. If there are more people that haven't taken it, your vaccination would not work. You still put people in danger.
Force those who are willing to put themselves at risk to put people who are protected at risk.
But they should
doesn't make sense.
No, they should stay in their houses.
Me at risk.
Yeah, you don't have it.
But if more of you don't take it, you're putting me at risk.
You can still
have
it even with the vaccine.
Is not immune.
No, that's how vaccinations work. Make it a topic. That's how it works. That's how vaccinations work.
The Pengasin story. Yeah. Pengasin is trying to make sense of the increase in cost of domestic cooking gas. saying that it's because of the rise of in dollars, that the price difference is why that has affected everything that is imported, and that is why we have an increase in,
we're talking about this all week, pretty much.
But we have launched in the picture story in the Punch. We have
we'll talk about We'll talk about this out of school children. So the presidency was trying to remind us that, listen, when it comes to primary care and education, it's actually the purview of the state government. The federal government only has about 100 schools across the country. So really and truly, when you talk about out of school children, it's the local government's primary responsible to ensure that these children go to school. But the schools are available. States have quite a bit of schools, and that it's not totally, completely the federal government's purview. And there's something else I said I thought was important, which I can't find right now, but that's pretty much the summary of that article. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue with the review that is turning to be a discussion. Stay with us.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right, moving on to Daily Sun. 11 southern states failed to meet September 1st open grazing ban deadline. COVID-19, court bars Obaseki from enforcing compulsory vaccination. PDP has not zoned presidency to North, says ex-national legal advisor. Malnutrition in Northeast devastating threat to posterity, says United Nations. CBN goes after banks' customers using fake travel documents to obtain forex. And Rivers State VAT judgment can't stand, says Masari. Okay, let's have the major headline.
Yes, so we remember that the 17 states had a meeting in Asaba, and they all decided that September 1 was going to be the deadline of the ban on open grazing. However, about 12 states have failed to comply. According to The Sun, it says, apart from Abia, Ogun, Oyo, Ekiti, and Ebonyi states that have passed the law, others are either in the process or have not begun at all. They said Anambra, Lagos, Imo, Edo, and Cross River have ignored their agreement, while Rivers, Delta, Osun, Ondo, Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom, and Enugu are just in the process of complying. So there's been this, allegations that the federal government said they had given billions of naira to, reactivate the grazing routes. So states are saying that they have not received the money. The states in the southeast are also saying that they do not have lands for open grazing, that their lands are actually attached to their gods, their deities, their families, and so they do not have space for open grazing. If you want to do that if you want to get a land for ranching as a business, you buy the land and pay as a businessman. So different states are saying we do not have land, but right now it doesn't seem like everybody is working together to ensure that the ban on open grazing stays.
Okay. Miriam, story do you have in Sun?
Okay, the Obaseki story.
Okay, I was going to take it in Tribune. I think it's major headline Tribune.
Okay, we should have story in Sun, Miriam, because I was going to take the
Okay, let me just take the Obaseki story then.
Go ahead.
So, Federal High Court in Port Harcourt has restrained the governor of Edo State from making it compulsory for indigents of Edo State to take the COVID-19 vaccine. He says that there should be a stay in status quo until, the suit has been determined. And also there's members of the Equity International Initiative, so they had been protesting against this compulsory vaccination as well. For them, they felt that it's an infringement on their human rights. And they said that they have been invited by the DSS for questioning. Meanwhile, they had given the government a one-week ultimatum to review this particular compulsion for the vaccines. And they say that they are not afraid of the DSS. They're going to speak their mind. They're going to go there and answer all the questions. And that's it. So we would hear from the courts and also, I guess, the what happens with DSS and these protesters on what the way forward is. Really, this conversation back and forth of whether we should take this COVID-19 or not. Yeah. I don't know why.
It's tiring.
Yes.
It's still a conversation.
Yes, I don't know why it's a conversation.
Right, so the United Nations, through the UNICEF, are saying that child malnutrition in the war-ravaged northeast states of Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa are quite problematic, and saying that it's under threat. According to him, many households, lack proper food. And it says, let me read it. It says, households in the Northeast are experiencing unprecedented levels of food crisis and hunger. And they also have experiencing food insecurity, poor infants and young child feeding, and care practices are being and are not being adhered to. So obviously we have a serious crisis in the Northeast, and they're also saying that we need international support to help get that entire region It's so heartbreaking when you read the stories, because these are real Nigerians. You know, when you see family, households cannot feed. And you're just reading like a report, but the truth is that these are human beings that they're saying that they cannot take care of their children. So they're saying that we need international support to help those communities rebuild themselves. Okay, let's move on to Vanguard. Nigeria hard hit has 2,035 die of cholera in 23 states, says FCT. Let's find a story we've not taken. State of the nation, Nigerians should defend themselves against bandits, says Afenifere. U.S. ready to help identify sponsors of Boko Haram, says Envoy. Buhari launches post-NYSC job scheme to absorb 20,000 graduates annually. Apapa gridlock, Lagos government and NPA vows strict enforcement. What's your headline?
Cholera. So we're still talking about the cholera epidemic in our country. So far, the numbers are over 2,000 deaths. Over 58,000 and more cases. Usually, it affects people between the age of 5 to 14. In Borno State, sadly, they have recorded 35 deaths in 2 days. 156 people are on admission. You know, the World Health Organization says that this particular disease is an indicator of the inequity and lack of social development. Nigeria is one of the countries that is consistently hit by this epidemic annually. So this is something that we go through. So anyway, the DG of the NCDC is saying that we'll continue to experience cholera if there's absence of clean water, poor sanitation practices, and open defecation. And we know we got number 2 as a country for open defecation. So there's lots of things. The NMA is saying that as far as they're concerned, Nigeria created the environment for this disease to thrive. And so the federal government needs to do things quickly to contain the spread of cholera.
Yes, so I wanted to talk about the United States. So the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, Mary Beth Leonard, disclosed at a roundtable on U.S.-Nigeria military cooperation at the U.S. Embassy in Abuja on Monday that the United States is willing to, help identify sponsors of Boko Haram. So they said that there's been a lot of speculations that Nigeria may likely end up as Afghanistan, but that is not going to happen because in the case of Afghanistan, before the Americans went there in the first place, is that they had an issue where about 3,000 Americans were killed. So that is definitely not going to be our case. And they also talked about the induction of the A-29 Super Tucano fighter aircraft in the Nigerian Air Force, saying that this is going to be a redefining moment in combating terrorism in Nigeria. And what we need now is to be able to sink human capital with the Super Tucano. And that's because Nigeria and the United States have a bilateral relationship, things are going to work out. The Tucano is also not just about intelligence, it's about surveillance, it's about operability, and it's going to, navigate both the air components and ground components. So it's looking good.
But we actually thought the Tucano was already in the air. I didn't know they have to wait for commissioning event because we.
And there was one conversation that also happened. People were saying, no, they're not Tucano fighter jets. They're Tucano helicopters. So what exactly?
I think this is saying fighter jets.
Fighter jets, right?
It was really specific. Okay, any other story, Nima and Vanguard? Let's move on. Jesus. You didn't take a proper good look today. What happened?
Same old.
They know the story.
The Nigerian Tribune. Court stops Obaseki. I think we talked about that earlier. Let's find another story. Olu of Warri dissolves traditional councils committees. Gunmen invade hospital in Bayelsa, rob doctors and patients. End kidnapping and terrorism now, Afenifere tells federal government. Tertiary institutions give priority to IGR at the expense of quality education, says panel report. Find another story. Naira down to 526 naira to the dollar.
Jeez.
Loses 21.1% value in 4 weeks. $20 billion salary loan. Court freezes Kogi bank accounts. Who has the Kogi State?
I do. Please. So, a federal high court has ordered the freezing of Kogi State salary account. And that's because the federal EFCC says that they received credible intelligence, which led them to trace the proceeds of an unlawful activities of this account. What they say is that Kogi State had asked a particular bank for 20 billion naira as bailout for salaries. And then when they got that money, they put it in a fixed deposit account and have also withdrawn from that account and did not use it for the purpose for which they collected that money. And so EFCC has asked that the court should freeze those accounts so that they can properly investigate what is happening.
I was going to take the picture story in Vanguard, if you can get that back on the screen. Okay. Says, from left, let me do their name. Miss Faiza Toyosi Suleiman, Master Kodri Suleiman, Medusa Olayijimika, and the wife of the governor of Lagos State, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, and others at the presentation of bank drafts to beneficiaries of the educational support to students during the WAEC. So that's a good support for the youngsters.
Yeah, Afenifere quickly. So the Pan-Yoruba socio-political group Afenifere on Tuesday are asking the federal government to put a halt to the issues of terrorism, kidnapping, herders, farmers' clashes. And they're also saying that restructuring is the panacea for problems bedeviling the country. And that restructuring should be done before the 2023 elections. That states should also be allowed to have their own police. The police should get to the grassroots. And that's the only way we can solve the problem of insecurity. They also mentioned the fact that a lot of people, there's an influx of foreigners, who are causing most of this mayhem from outside the country into Nigeria, and the federal government needs to do something about it.
So, Olu of Warri, Ogiami Atuwashe III has
flexing his muscle.
Yes, so he has dissolved all the existing committees and subcommittees, and he says that they're going to start a revalidation and confirmation exercise starting tomorrow. So it's not so bad. I mean,
no, it's a good thing.
Flex it.
He's king here. You need to know
okay, so the Guardian. Do you have time to take Guardian? We have to run, unfortunately, that's all. But let me just take the headline. FG set to sanction Nigerians refusing COVID-19 vaccination. Motorcyclists defy ultimatums, take over Obalende and Ikoyi axes. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up on front page review. When we return, we move on to our hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, the controversial activities of Hisbah police is something that has generated quite a lot of controversy and mixed reactions amongst Nigerians. Part of the story that have dominated social media have been the issues around the mannequins, the haircut, destruction of alcoholic drinks, banning couples from meeting in public, and all the others. Nigerians have been reacting that many of these strict measures seem only to be for the poor and not the rich. And one of the spokespersons of Hisbah had actually responded saying that in Islam, it is wrong to speak to your elders or to criticize your elders in public. Your leaders in public. So what are your thoughts on this? Now, again, this is when it comes to religious issues, we're quite understand how sensitive it can be. So we're not here to criticize, we're here to have understanding. So please call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-7694. And also send us messages on YouTube and Facebook. We'll be happy to read these messages. So, as I said, we cannot judge culture, tradition, beliefs. That's not what we're here to do. But we must understand each other and know how we're different or what makes us different. And that's one of the reasons why we're bringing this conversation. So I was starting with Nima because somebody has just referenced Islam and saying that in Islam, it is wrong to speak to your leaders or to criticize your leaders in public. And I'd like you to just say, like, if that is true and if that's correct. Okay. And then before we now start discussing what our thoughts on how we've observed Hisbah's activities in recent times.
So I got this same topic when I wrote something concerning the NSAS.
Okay.
Some people took it up, went on my DM, went on my page, and were lecturing me. So I'm a graduate of Islamic law. I have combined honors. When I do something, I know what I'm doing. It's either we don't want to do democracy or we want to do democracy. In Islam, leadership is taken by knowledge, character, but we do elections here. In Islam, even the Saudi now, you don't see people achieving or getting to leadership by elections. They run monarchies in most of the countries. They have what they call a shura that appoints a person. His character is clean. They check him. Integrity. He has to have knowledge before he gets into position. So they run a different system. But when we run democracy here, we run a different system, and we must abide by that system. I cannot remember any governor in Kano that was appointed by a shura. He was elected, and he's running under a constitution. So, of course, there must be people who can criticize whatever decisions they make. And so when you run under that defense, because in the olden days in England, we had where they said the queen can do no wrong. It's no longer the norm because they changed their system. Yeah. So when we change system, let's admit we are changing system. It's not like when we do one, you now go and find a back.
But there's Sharia in these states.
So ISBA, yes, most northern states do Sharia. And they have a code for it. They use it only for their criminal system. They have a code. It is now their criminal law. What they did is, what their penal codes would do, they only amended it to increase what it covered. They didn't say, the Rasul Sallallahu that we are following said to someone at the time when they were carrying out the judgment of stealing on a continuous unrepentant thief. He said, if it was Fatima, my daughter, who was caught in this habit, I will cut off her hand. Which means that not because she's now royalty or you are now governor, you can do no wrong. We can't bring it and be mixing it up and confusing ourselves. Okay. Hisbah was a police to ensure morality, Abi. Right. Hey, there's immorality, no matter who it is.
Okay,
enforce it.
Right. So
this we have double standards.
Mariam, want to go?
Yes, because for me, when I also heard his response, that's for the representative of Hisbah, where he says that you cannot publicly criticize a leader. I wondered, if you could not publicly do it, but would that leader still get the punishment that is meted out to regular people?
How do you then set examples?
That's my question, Abi. How do you not set examples? But, the question is, some people, we have heard of those who have stolen and they have their limbs cut off, where people have been asked to do some sort of moral class where they go for Islamic classes because they have shared pictures that are indecent. They are punished and they are made examples of. So if you don't publicly, let's just say agree, you don't publicly chastise them, but do you also privately punish them? Do they have their limbs cut off because they did what they stole for corruption? Do you do that? Even though we don't see it, can someone say, yes, this is what you do in private? Do you punish them for some of the outfits you say that is not right, that other people are being punished for? Do you now go there and meet them and punish them for the way they are dressed? Are those people that we've seen, those children of the rich and powerful, are they asked to go for all those Islamic classes and asked to change their outfits, or are they just allowed to go? I think that for many Nigerians, it just seems clear that if you do not have the power and if you do not have the wealth, some of these religious things, religious beliefs, religious punishments especially, will be meted out to you. You are supposed to be the example for people who, the scapegoats, that's it. You are the scapegoats for things like this.
Yes, so for me, I want to go back to the criticisms that Hisbah has had over the years, which is that it seems to be favorable to just the rich and punishes just the poor. And the response of the spokesperson somehow buttressed that fact, which is that, you do not criticize a leader in public. And I'm wondering, does that mean that every wealthy person in that religion is a leader? So what makes you a leader? I was thinking that, leaders are those who are the helm of affairs, either in the mosque or the government and all of that. Does that now once you're wealthy, does that give you that leadership criteria that you can no longer be criticized in public? And he also said that they handle the cases based on one-on-one approach. That, for me, is a separation. So you have a law which you now handle one, and also we all commit the same offense here, and they say, okay, no, Moriah is different from us. Let's handle Moriah's own case privately. Let's handle Nima's case publicly and all that. So that also still buttresses the fact of the ordinary people who say that, Come on, it seems like this religion is just for poor people. So once you are rich, you are above that law, you are above that religion. I think some of the things that we do, we need to start really paying attention because the world is changing. People are beginning to ask intelligent questions, and not just questions. They are seeing your precedents. They are following up on what you're doing. Tomorrow, they will use it against you. So if you want to have a law, let your law be seen to be just. Let it be seen to be fair, equity. That is what we're talking about, especially in religion.
There's even transparency that the religion promotes so loudly. I remember I'm going to be using a lot of Quranic quotations. So
go ahead.
The Prophet ﷺ was walking once with his young wife, and someone passed by them. He had no business explaining himself to the person. But he turned back and said, "This is Aisha." And he said I think Aisha was Zainab. And then he said, "Speak so that the person hears you." So that person does not walk and say, "I saw him with somebody." That means that if you're in a leadership position, you must live a very transparent life. Your standards are the highest of it. Before you can now say that they don't question leaders. It's not where we are now. And then you didn't get...
Let me take this call from Dennis. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Sorry for calling today. I've tried calling yesterday concerning the gay issue. I'm in the same situation. That's why I'm calling you today. I don't know how to reach you offline because I actually got married 2017. I met my husband in church. I never knew what to say. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I met him in church. I never knew he was a gay. So 3 years after our marriage, I find out he's a gay. And I confronted him at first. And he promised to change. I never knew he was just playing me around. So after like 2 weeks, I asked him again. He said we're going to see a pastor or a counselor. And he said if I ever mention that thing in this house again, that he will deal with me. So that's how I've been battling with him over a year now. I've evolved. I called so many counselors. They told, the only thing they are telling me is I have to take my decision. And I already have 2 kids. Now, I have involved his family, my family. I left the house 2 weeks ago to my brother's place. So, at Murayo, I got there. They don't force me to come back again. Not to go and work on it. But I'm not been able to work it now.
Honestly, our heart breaks, Janet. I mean, I don't know what to say at this point, but I can't say I understand what you're feeling, but the truth is that we know that a lot of people are going through exactly what you're going through. And that's why we started the conversation yesterday, and we're going to continue it. So thank you for sharing your story with us. We appreciate you calling, and we'll definitely try to reach out to you when we do expatiate on this story. As I said, for those who didn't watch the story yesterday, we're talking about people who are finding out in marriage that their spouses are either homosexuals or lesbians, and that's a problem. So it's a conversation we're going to continue having, but not today. Thank you very much, Zenith, again for sharing your story.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still talking about the bias of enforcement of the Hisbah police in the north. Yes.
So this is why there's a rule that you don't oppose leadership publicly because of the fear of an insurrection. Because you can just incite people to to war because of such comments when it's done publicly. So it is to remove the mischief of that and ensure that there's a peaceful reign, that there's peace in the environment. That's the rationale. Behind every law, there's a reason. There's something that the law is trying to protect, prevent, or curb. And that's why that one is there. Not that you're speaking freely, but you're not inciting anybody. You're calling out a leader, and it's just termed that you can't speak to a leader. Hisbah as a police were created by these elites. But they enforce among the poor. Hisbah can also be in town, like the times of the second caliph after the Prophet, that was Umar bin Khattab, and move around town and see the state of the people living and feed back to the government, to the leaders. Hisbah can be and see this woman is a widow, she's having difficulty feeding her children. The children are always outside. Can you feed that back to leaders and see that and ensure that there's change in that environment, rather than just say, okay, it's only Islamic laws, and you're doing it as if Islam does not have a knowledge base that you have to have.
Okay, let me come to Hassan. Hassan, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good morning, Morai.
Morning, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Please, this is a religion matter, and we have to be very careful when we handle it. That guy that spoke that the leaders should be spoken to in private. He knew nothing about Islam. Islam is a transparent religion. Islam is a religion of equity. Let me set an example for you. In Islam, they say be loyal, be respectful to your leaders when they do what? When they obey the command of God. And you have 3 ways to speak out in Islam. It was said in the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that said, "Man ra'a minkum munkaran falyughayyirhu biyadihi, fa in lam yastati fa bilisanihi, fa in lam yastati fa biqalbihi, fa dhalika ad'afu al-iman." When you see abomination, say it with change it with your hand, change it with your mouth, or you detest it in your mind. I don't know where it's coming from. Islam is a religion that spoke the truth to the leaders. Religion has no class. That is why you see us in the mosque. You see us standing side by side. When you go on pilgrimage, you see the mixture of the high and the mighty. In the same place doing the same thing. It's about the equity that Islam enjoins on us. For somebody, if we wanted to talk politics, let us talk politics. But if we want to talk religion, we are ever ready.
Oh, thank you very much, Hassan. Yes, definitely should enlighten us a bit more. Now, let me talk about what BC said earlier. These are modern times. People are exposed. They are knowledgeable. They are more intelligent. So there's a way you try to enforce certain things and they accept it. But even at the lowest level, young people are questioning. Youngsters are on social media. They are asking, like, why are you doing this to us? So my question to you, Nima, is where do we draw the line between complete, I don't want to use the word, I'm trying to pick the words carefully, complete obedience and also enlightenment, such that you are also, you're not condemning, but you are questioning reasonably why certain things are being enforced on you. So where do you draw the line from, as a poor person? Can you ask questions? Can you question why this is being done to you?
Yes, in blind obedience and
blind obedience and yes.
So blind obedience is only from a place of disempowerment, when somebody takes away your means. In a religion that encourages education, of course, it encourages you to think. In fact, one of the things I enjoyed the most about the Quran is that when you get to a certain verse, most of the verses you said, can you not think? Can you not reason? Forcing, God himself asking you, use your mind. Your brain. I have given you the criterion. Can you not then think? When the Quranic messages are dropped, they'll drop a message, for instance, do not kill. Don't you understand? And then it will end with, can you reason? Can you not think? Asking all the time to use your mind. So I don't understand blind. I don't understand it in Islam. So usually when you see something just like Hassan said, you question it, you speak up. And if it is in a government where you have an autocratic government where you can't speak up, you use your actions, you show it. Where you can't, you just hate it. You don't allow it, so that the first opportunity you get, as long as you don't accept it as the norm, you will change it. So the mindset must be there. That is Islam. But what is painful here is what Hassan has admitted. When we play politics, it's different from when we now, it's unfortunate that there's a mixture of it in Kano. We had an emir in Kano who I love so much, who was deposed because he was speaking Islam the way I understand it. He was coming and using the Quranic and the Hadith and the Sunnahs of the Prophet to establish change of the ways they live now. This decadence that, you know, is becoming norm, that they are now accepting, that they are setting elites. Okay, if somebody was a leader, does it make their children leaders? So if I am an elite now, does it give my children immunity against crime that they commit? That is why it's now saying you can't talk. I don't understand.
Let me take Ade. Ade from London. I'll come to Mariam. Ade, are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
My point is that, yes, please. I lived in Kano for 12 years before I came abroad. It's been the system in Kano. The poor people are the ones suffering. The big man, they don't suffer. Israel has been existing for long, whether they call Israel or not. I live in Sabongere, which many visitors where they live. They will say this thing is against the law in the city where they live. They will come to Sabongere in the night and consume beer. So they have been doing this thing only for the poor people they are punishing. Even their boss, I won't mention his name, who pocket dollar everywhere, the whole Nigeria is pocketing dollar. Do they rebuke him? And they are still obeying him now. So this is not about religion at all. It's a lie.
Thank you very much, Ade.
So let's take some cues. That is CEO talking about the caller that called. She said, even my children's father practiced this behavior. I'm not surprised. My children's father sleep with men and women. Nothing new here. So this conversation is a must to have. Said, marriage is not by force. You're crying out here for help for what you already know. I think still talking about it. No, this is not insensitive. But, this might sound insensitive, but I think it's giving you the option to leave. This is, if it's not an acceptable practice for you.
I don't want us to let it mix with the conversation, but we're definitely going to bring it up another time.
Okay.
But I want most of the comments grab those comments and then we'll keep it.
So, Mola Alamide Adela said, Western education is bad. Oh, still on this.
Okay, let me take this call. Good morning, are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
My name is Bright. I'm calling from Abuja.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Nima. I think one of the things I like that Nima said is that Islam, I'm not a Muslim, but I grew up in the north. I grew up in Kano, like they said. I know Kano very well. There are certain things I realize that it's not peculiar to Islam. It's the same thing in Christianity. We also know that there is a verse in the Bible that said that we should obey the authority. There's a verse like that in the Bible, but that does not say that when the leader goes out of hand, you have to select between the poor and the rich. If you go to Saudi Arabia, where we practically copy the thing from, the crown prince arrested a couple of the princes that committed this crime. They were still some of them are still in prison. Because what he said is that if you, the elite, that was supposed to pass the message to the junior ones, committed the crime, this is in Saudi Arabia, you could Google it. They are still in prison. They were all in prison. There is also another one that committed a crime in England, and they said that, yes, you committed a crime. You pay for it. So for me, and this is what we're saying, it is embedded into our religion. They brought in religion when it's convenient for them.
Right.
So when it's also convenient, they brought in politics.
Thank you very much, Bright. Do we have any other messages? We have to wrap up on this.
On the other
topic. Okay, so I think as we wrap up on this, the reason why it was important for us to have this conversation, because there are young people living all over the country in the north who are confused about the bias on the enforcement of Hizbah, and they're thinking, okay, what is going on here? So it was important for us to have this conversation so that the government understands that there's this somewhat has to be resolved, because you cannot use one hand to say these are the laws and the other hand refuse to enforce it on certain people. We have to be very, very strict, because Nigerians are enlightened now and they're going to continue to ask questions. And this is why it's important for the leaders to understand that at every single level, we must be fair and we must be transparent in how we carry out our laws and our duties.
May I quickly add that I think it's the job of the Islamic scholars to also call out, the leaders, especially the ones at the helm of affairs, remind them of the tenets of Islam. So if we are going by the rules and regulations that the Holy Book has given, we must follow it to the last and keep being their conscience.
Even up north, we see scholars now speaking up that people are dying. Even the Sultan is speaking up about, the need for... People are calling out government, and we've seen them depose somebody for calling out government.
At our president's daughter's wedding, they were all dancing to... because they're young people.
The problem is
that's their generation.
Allow them listen to the lyrics of the song.
They don't allow.
So train your child. when you, for instance, if I listen to the lyrics of a song and I don't align with what I hear, I won't dance to it.
Yeah, dance to it.
What if you
That's
align?
all we can take on that. Let's go on a break. And we come back, move on to our other topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Okay, so we got the news that a local government chairman in Rivers State empowered his constituents with, wait for this, a tuber of yam, a hoe, and a cutlass. Now, we saw this story on the blog, and we thought it was quite interesting because we've often discussed what should leaders use as empowerment tools. Now, to the layman, it might seem awkward, but to those in the communities, maybe it makes a lot of sense. I don't know, I'm confused. I'd like to hear the viewers' thoughts on this. But one of the reasons why we do this show is just in case our leaders don't understand certain things. Let this show help you to understand how we perceive these things. Because maybe they don't get it. And maybe they still think we're still thinking like we're thinking in the 80s or in the 70s. Nigerians are a bit more enlightened. So no matter how poor they are, they still have some kind of information. And what we're seeing may not come across as empowering. In fact, it's more even disempowering, I would say. So I would like to hear your views on this. What are your thoughts when you saw these pictures? And again, as much as it's easy to judge, but we don't live in those communities. This might be the exact thing they need.
Really?
You never know. Let's not judge. I would really like somebody in that area to call and let us know that. Do you believe that the people have been empowered? And do you think this is part of what we need? Let me start with, I don't know, busy, we already see your thoughts. So let me not come with you. Let me come with somebody else who might agree. Miriam, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay. See, I know where everyone stands, so I want to try and be devil's advocate today and see, and maybe we'll have callers that also back this up. Sometimes I feel that because you live in the city, you live in the town, and there are things that you are privy to and you have access to, you don't understand the struggles of those in the rural areas. And that sometimes just a hoe and a tuber of yam may mean, may make a difference. I just wish it was a few more tubers of yam so that it would be that you're starting a yam farm. Just having one tuber is a problem right now. But the thing is, many times I've seen leaders do that. I've seen maybe governors do that. But I'm looking at this person as a local government chairperson. Now, my own criticism, right, is really in the fact that when we elect these people into office, I don't think they should concern themselves about doling out monies or this sort of gifts to people. Make it your priority. Your role really should be creating the environment for people to thrive. Make sure that they can get to their farmlands in safety, their security. Make sure that we're talking about mechanized farming. We're sitting down with, are these farmers that they're sitting down with? Or are these people who have come to say, oh, we would like to start farming? Really, I'm trying so hard to...
Yeah, I know. Let me come to you now.
Yeah, so the first thing I would ask is what are some of the groundwork that she did before giving out this empowerment? What I see is leaders who just sit on the high table and assume that the help they have in their head is what is going to work for the person they are doling out the help to. Did you go to the environment to find out what exactly they need, how they are able to move from place to place, and they now found out that is one tuber of yam that they need
but they look
in
happy.
That place? Excuse me?
They look happy.
They will look happy till they get home. So if you say the plan is to ensure that we have farmers coming up, did you provide land for them? Some of these people do not even have a house to stay. Did you find out where they are going to plant? And do you plant one tuber of yam? Who does that? Even if you cut it into pieces, how many yams do you think you have out of that?
So I think,
exactly. So that whole tuber now is only one seed that you have. So I just feel insulted. When I saw that, I was really like, whoa, what is happening in the 21st century? I'm not saying that people don't need to farm, but give them that, give them that if you want to set up a farm, Give them that land. Tell them we have marked funds to have, you can go here and have a parcel of land. The local government chairman will give you this, that.
In fairness, people like this, look at the local government chairman. Look at, obviously, she doesn't have funds. So, I mean, from what I'm seeing, there could be paucity of funds such that they don't have enough. And say, listen, from the little I have, well, let me just help these people. So maybe sometimes we have these leaders and they don't have, either they lack ideas or they don't have the resources to help their people. Because can you blame her? You are not in her shoes. And I'm really sure she's more rational to know that, okay, can I do this or not do this? Let me talk to Nima.
Food is extremely important.
Yes.
Food. So what I see is that she's giving them yam and then giving them the seed. Because one yam is only one seed. It's only the head you can plant. But you can be lucky where your yam have several legs from the one seed.
Did you see any yam that has several legs?
Wait now.
No, when you put it on the ground, it sprouts.
This is what our people elect. The exposure that you have is what you will use. If all she understands living amongst them is that this is how they've lived, they should just continue in their lifestyle that they've lived. Yam planting is a normal thing.
One yam.
Yes, all the way to all the south. All of us, we are yam planters. My grandfather planted yam so much. You know, and food is very important. She's giving them a hoe, she's giving them the cutlass, she's taught them how to fish. That's what I think. But the problem is, like BC said, the one yam.
That one yam.
Yes, the one yam that is the problem.
Well, it's the one yam that is the problem. But if you want progress, economic growth for your people, you can't be giving them one yam.
Nima, you know what you said about you elect your kind of people. So usually that community grassroots politics is really you're bringing people from that your community, and how exposed are people like that. So there's a good part of it where you understand the issues of that community because you live there. So you understand that maybe these are farmers that have said that, you know what, we need to start planting yams and we want to help. But now the problem will be because of your limited exposure, you don't know that there are better ways to help them. So instead of putting all that resources to buying just one tuber per person, we bring in, we bring in many seeds. We make sure that we even have arable land. We talk about partnerships with other communities where they can bring better yam seedlings and things like that and make a bigger yam.
Are you there? Hello, good morning, you're live. Go ahead, please. Olufemi.
Hello.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yes, please, what I want to say is this. You see, we all came from different cultures in this country. And I am the one that knows. Yeah, please. Thank you very much. Good morning to you all there.
You are listening to the TV, Olufemi. We were already talking to you. Go ahead, please. Okay, he was listening to the TV.
So maybe I'm just took it out of my mouth.
Okay,
what this person needs to do is have the exposure. Because you're not just educated and become local. You're supposed to have gone to other communities. And most of them go for this, what they call local government, whatever training. They do one in one hotel somewhere abroad. There was one that went viral, where all local government chairman after an election traveled out for what they call the training. So when you get to other places, is it not mechanized farming that you see in communities where farming is
local government?
You know the one that would break my heart the most? If I see the amount marked for this yam, because I know how much yam is in the states that we're talking about, and I know how much a seed is. If you now see the amount marked, a cutlass cannot be more than 1,000 naira in this place. Oh, 700. Let's now go and see the amount of one bogus amount.
Her own money.
Maybe it's
May I say that it's okay not to know. Accept that you don't know and ask for help. What we are not going to take from any leader right now is not to know and be claiming that you know on top of the fact that you don't know. We won't accept it. So if you have an idea on how to help people and you feel these resources I have are limited, why don't you ask for people that would help you? Let us sit down. Let's have a round table meeting. Let's talk about how do we use this little thing to help this environment. What can we do? How can we seek for help? You know, if you have those sort of conversations, you will definitely have people who are willing to advise you on the best steps to take. We have very funny...
Hello, good morning. Are you there? Hello?
Hello?
Good morning. You're live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. My name is
Abajalingo.
Yes, go ahead.
Nice to hear from you.
Okay. I got interested in calling Morayo because you are talking about my state. It's actually not River State, it's Cross River State.
Okay.
And that's of Banlifu local government.
Okay.
I have been reporting Cross River for 10 years.
Okay.
Okay.
So I understand this very, very well.
Right.
Okay. Please tell us.
Now, that is the dilemma that our state has today. And I've been talking about empowerment for a very long time. In the state, how do we change the model? I'm happy that you people have mentioned capacity on your program. You are talking about people having capacity to be able to help their people. Most of these, there are 4 women who became local government chairman in Cross River State only because of the agenda.
Wow.
Nobody cared about whether they had capacity to be able to lead or not. But just because of the agitation about giving women power, these people found their way into this place. If I don't want to say some things about this particular chairlady because she will not be here to defend herself.
Okay.
The 4 of them that are local government chairman, they are the worst examples of women in power.
Jeez.
And I can give you facts, but I'm not on air. I'm calling on the phone. That time will not be there. They're the worst examples. So I am simply saying that even if people are talking about women getting into power, they should also talk about women, just like men, who have capacity. This same woman, we reported a story in Cross River Watch about a month ago, how she's funneling money to her pastor, who is being accused of sleeping with her. I can say all of that because we reported it.
Wow.
Okay. This same woman.
Wow. Okay, thank you very much for calling. So, again, I guess the real conversation is it that our leaders are bereft of ideas on what to do in this time, at these times? Because I know they all talk about empowerment, women empowerment, community empowerment, youth empowerment. They say this is every single day. But we need to help re-educate them on what we understand as empowering. So we don't live in that community, as you said. So for you, this might not be empowering. But my question, therefore, is, could she have done the same thing in a different way? That's what she said, okay, this is the land, this entire community, this is the land we've bought. We're going to train you as farmers. You know, something more that is more long-term.
3 things that went wrong there. PR. This thing is ridiculous. Don't take pictures of it. But it's not everything. You can share yam, one yam cutlass, but it's not everything you do pictures for. Number 2 is that, as BC said, you don't know, you're not willing to ask. Number 3 is that if you finally do want to take the decision to ask, you will not have consultants. You start budgeting money and be paying people for the ideas that they want to give you, and you will still not execute it. Which one is you need? The fund to empower your people and the knowledge. Right. So people, some of these local government chairmen have cabinet members who cannot talk to them. Executive chairman, sir. Executive chairman, ma. That's where the problem is. Man. Somebody that has the idea is with you, but you're not taking it. Until you pay somebody to bring the idea to you from abroad, you call him expatriate. That's the problem.
Let's take a few messages.
Yes, so Demola Ogunjobi says, this thing is simple now. Them go chop the yam, use the hoe to plant the head, and the cutlass to defend themselves from criminal headsmen while at it. Now palm oil remain. Olubomi Oyele says, the discussion on the politician giving yam and cutlass, when Nigerians learn to respect themselves, the leaders will also respect them. This 21st century, for that matter, Nigerians undo. Emu Owobete says, the leader knows better. Instead of exposing them to modern times, they intentionally keep their mindset just the way it is for absolute control. Abilikis Morenike says, I'm covering my face. That's just ridiculous. The tuber of yam, seriously?
But you know, recently we saw a particular woman, I think this House of Reps member or State of her Assembly member, who built a bridge in her community. They said this is money that come to her and was her personal money, and she used it to build a bridge, a proper bridge for a community. She's
not a House of Reps member. She's a cabinet member within the local government. Her constituency that she represents has to cross that bridge to the other community. That's well constructed. We have a House of Reps member from Lagos State who built something that people termed ridiculous and made fun of him because you live in Lagos now, you should know better, you know. So really, also, it's about knowledge. It's about your exposure. You know, they say when you do, you've mentioned already, when you don't know, you should ask. But also, you need to know that you don't know. And if you are from a community that it seems that many people around you do not know, that is where you start from. Now, I think what we need to do is,
I want to call on many young people, vibrant young people, educated, exposed young people. This is when we talk about starting from the grassroots, this is what we mean. So that we're not just sitting down on TV and looking at our phone and laughing, when we can make a difference. Join, have a voter's registration card, join the election, join a party, go and represent your people, because you have a lot to give. Even if all you have is knowledge of how to do things, how to organize, we have to do much more than that. We cannot all be critics sitting down and just typing away.
So we have to wrap up on this, but I think we've gotten the message that times have changed and we need to certainly help our leaders make better decisions on these things. I can almost understand that the local government chairmen across the country have always complained. Well, they're just getting their monies now directly. Many of them to go to the states. States now decide what I give to you. So there are layers and layers of issues. Either way, empowerment should be more long-term and effective. This is no more empowerment for us as Nigerians. I think that's what Nigerians are saying generally.
And if you're a governor, you have a chairman that when you give money to, will spend it that way. Maybe you're now thinking maybe I should look for another way to make sure this community gets, instead of through this chairman that may give them a tuber of yam.
And Cutlass. Right, let's go on a break. That's all we can take on this. When we return, we have our guests in the studio. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we have the General Manager, Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, Dr. Dolapo Fashawe, to discuss with us different forms of environmental pollution and hygiene problems confronting our society today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So you were in the papers very recently, where you were there inspecting and closing down and shutting down different communities. I was like, what is happening in Lagos State concerning pollution? Because I know that your agency is very keen on ensuring that we eradicate pollution across the state. Tell us what you've seen, what you've observed, and what you're doing to solve this issue of pollution.
Thank you, Mariah. First of all, I would like to define what air pollution is. Air pollution is when we have dangerous substances in the air. It could be made of gases, particles, chemicals, and when we're exposed to this, or when the environment is exposed to this, it's called air pollution. Now, there's the ambient air, which is just supposed to be pure oxygen. Unless we're in a bubble, nobody gets pure oxygen. So our everyday activities, traffic, industrialization, you know, just regular business, cooking at home, fossil fuel burning, generators, if not managed well, cause air pollution.
Yeah. So someone would say that Lagos State and maybe Rivers State will be like the most, the two states that are the most polluted air pollution because of the lot of industrial activities that happen within those states as compared to the other states. You know, the traffic, the traffic congestion, and then in Rivers, you know, in Rivers State, people have complained of soot, but we're talking Lagos State now. So people would like, in doing my regular duties or doing my regular business, these things will happen. How are you asking me now to perform my duties, to chase my livelihood, while paying attention to how the air is polluted and why I should keep it clean?
Okay, so there's indoor air pollution, there's outdoor air pollution. As regards outdoor air pollution, industrial, there's something called source apportionment. We have realized from studies in Lagos that most of the pollutants come from traffic, emissions from traffic. Yeah. In developed countries like the UK, it's from industrialization, from manufacturing. And however, if a car is in a good and perfect condition and the fuel is being combusted totally, I'm trying to just be simple. Yes. A car should not pollute the air. But you know that thing they say, when your silencer is bad and you see white smoke, a car should not emit white smoke. Yes, or black. Neither should the generator do that.
Okay.
So we can go about our normal duties, our normal day-to-day activities without polluting the air. And recently, the world is even moving towards cleaner energy.
Yes.
As a source of power. To power your car, to power your generator. I'm happy to say I went to Promasido yesterday, and their whole system is powered by gas. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes. And when you look at what they do there, just look up in the sky. The sky is blue. Wow. The air is clean. That's a typical example of going about your regular business.
Wow.
With clean energy.
Yeah. So my fear now is, we've talked about, I think it was in the papers yesterday, that the price of gas will soon increase. So we're speculating before December it will get to 10,000 naira. And most people will likely fall for cooking gas now. Most people will now fall back to the use of coal and firewood. And we are still talking about clean energy. How do you ever think that we will get there?
Okay, we're getting there. Lagos State as a government is already halfway through. I'm happy to announce that most of our buses are hybrid. What do I mean by hybrid? They use half gas, half diesel. Even in La Cepa, we have a car currently now that we're using to run a pilot. It's been hybrided. It uses half gas, half
diesel,
petrol, half petrol.
Wow.
And we've run a cost-benefit analysis. And even in terms of safety and how often we have to service the car, we have saved almost 70% of how much, yes, we used to spend on fuel in the past 6 months.
Is it a Nigerian-made car? Or?
Oh, yeah. Nissan bus. And there are engineers in town now who can hybrid your car for you. But it is not cooking gas that fuels that gas, that car. We have LPG, we have CNG. And before we go out there and say, hybrid your cars, make sure you use gas, these things have to be available and affordable. Yeah. Right. In terms of cooking gas, I don't think anyone who understands the concept of air pollution should go back to coal. I will tell you, when you burn coal, you emit carbon monoxide, you emit some substances, NO2, SO2, just chemical substances that harm you. Most people in the villages, when they cook with coal and wood, they do it in the open space. So diffusion happens. But in a city like Lagos, it would be really appalling to know that people are going back to coal in spite of the dangers of coal.
I grew up here, and I've seen what hardship can make.
Yeah.
We cooked with sawdust, we cooked with coal. You don't even want to imagine. I know a family that cooks with plastic on the coal to make it when it's cold. So let's not
cooked.
Use those days. So I would do that today because maybe I've deliberately insisted on better options. But for some, hardship will still push them back. I wanted to talk about enforcement because, you mentioned Promasido. This is a company whose choice it is to maintain environmental standards internationally. But we have some industries in residential areas continuously putting people at risk, running their businesses, taking the boats out of the communities where they practice and leaving the people to deal with the environmental issues that they create. How much of enforcement is La Cepa doing? And how do you restrict the companies? Do you give them a period of time within which they must change their policies to conform? What exactly do you do, and why do we still see them?
Okay, so Mariah just said we were in the papers recently, shutting and sealing and, I want you to picture Ikorodu at 11 a.m. It's like Hamatan, because we have a lot of steel smelting factories. We encourage recycling, but not at the expense of human health and the environment. Just last week, we did a reconnaissance on Ikorodu and its activities. Because we have air quality monitors, I'm also glad to say that in collaboration with the World Bank, for the first time, we have 6 air quality monitors in Lagos State. We have 1 in La Sepa building, we have in Ikorodu, we have in Unilag, we have in Jankara on the island, we have in Alimosho and Amuru, all World Bank funded. Okay. And this machine kept telling us, you know, it does something called source apportionment. It tells us where is most polluted and where this pollution is coming from. No, it's Ikorodu. It kept spiking at Ikorodu, and it wasn't rocket science to realize that it was the steel manufacturing industries. Oh. And as we speak now, all iron and steel smelting industries in Ikorodu have a stop work order.
Okay.
Absolutely stop work. And for viewers, if you live around there and you see any furnace still emitting soot, please contact us at La Sepa. They're all on a stop work order, and we have a meeting to chart the course forward. Like she said, it can't happen in a day. But if you are polluting 100%, you can reduce it to 60% and give me an action plan, time-bound, as to when you will deal with this situation. And what causes this pollution, really? It's people trying to find shortcuts to make money. When you smelt iron on itself, by itself, it shouldn't pollute the air. But, you know, scraps, when they collect, they have to sort it. Think of a wheelbarrow. It has plastic, it has tires, but it's still metal. Now, if you put all these things in the furnace that is supposed to smelt iron, the byproducts of burning plastic. That is what we see. That is what causes that black and that hazy smoke we see. And toxic substances also are emitted into the air, are passed out. But I think the guys that work in this industry understand that, because even before COVID, they would wear nose masks. But the emission, the environment is the only thing that binds us all together in the world. It doesn't stop in the factory.
Let's talk about because you've seen this. I mean, I want to stay on this a bit, because there are people listening to you right now in Ikorodu that are watching, and they've been taking in this air for years. And thank God the government is saying, listen, they've down tools. But what are the effects of these inhaling of these harmful substances in the air? And I don't know.
Can we add our home generators to that as well?
Oh, yes.
Because sometimes we are inhaling our neighbors. The pipe is in your compound and you're inhaling your neighbors.
Monoxide is coming to it. So, what are the health risks on this?
I'm not about to scare anyone, but there's acute, that's like short exposure to air pollution. Your lungs will defend you and you'll be fine. But chronic exposure, everyday exposure, the health effects, I will tell you, a World Bank study conducted in Lagos 2018 showed us that 48% of people that died of association with air pollution in Lagos. And out of this 48%, almost 90% of them are children under 5.
Oh, Lord.
So when we start to see acute respiratory tract infection, asthma, bronchitis, allergies, eye itching, nose running, these are all effects of what our body is exposed to. But it even goes further than that. Some of these substances are carcinogenic, cancer-causing substances. If you're exposed to it long enough, without you're doing something, moving away, or calling the Environmental Protection Agency. That's when you see, oh, Alaji never smoked in his life. How come he has lung cancer? It could be his occupation, health hazard. It could also be something he's been exposed to. So the health impacts are innumerable, uncountable. Even in traffic, if you look at bus conductors, even their skin, you can tell. I don't know about fresh.
I know that for violators, you could give that a no work, stop work order. But where do you take it from there? After the stop work order, what are some of the measures that, or some of the punishments that you give to companies like this to deter others from following suit? Because we hear closure after a bit, that organization, that company reopens again. What do you do to ensure they don't try it again?
Okay, so with LASEPA in Lagos State, there's something called Environmental Management Plan, which we ask you to bring when you have committed an infraction. An infraction is something wrong against the environment. And let me use the steel industries as my example. We have a meeting in 2 days where I'm going to ask them to bring the environmental management plan. It's as simple as ensuring you sort your waste, you sort your steel. It's as simple as servicing your furnaces. It's as simple as, you know, that cylinder that goes up in the air. There's something called stacks. It's like nets that would take out particulate matters. It's expensive. People try and bypass all of that. But we don't only give instructions, we monitor. We have zonal offices. We have a zonal office in Ikorodu. We have air quality, handheld monitoring devices. If you do not keep within the acceptable standards, you'll be sealed indefinitely because there's just no compromise.
There's a dump site.
I'll come to you. Let me take this call. Hold it forever. Kalu, are you there? Thanks for calling. Oh, we lost her. Go ahead, Nima.
Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Kalu. Go ahead. You're live.
Good morning.
Yes, morning.
I appreciate this morning pollution of the mother. It has been here for one time. And I'm so excited. Madam, I just want to tell you that the government should stop pressing people to the wall. Let me just touch you the area of the case under the bridge. During Fasola regime, the street light we use here in Lagos, we have an executive set that run it out. A heavy pollution is going on. If you are mentioning things, Ikorodu or some part of Lagos, even your house, even your area, there is no more things in this country, even if you like, close the factory that they bring back, people that work there, take care of their children.
It's hard to hear you. So you're saying Ikeja, which I want to hear you clearly. Please speak a bit slower. The line is not very clear. Mr. Kalu? Oh, it wasn't clear. Did you do anybody speak what you said?
Yes.
So it was complaining about a certain area, I think, Ikeja.
So there's no place
in the whole place in Lagos State is polluted.
So Nima was going to answer the question.
Yeah, so dump sites, environmental gas emissions that happen at dump sites is something that I find dangerous. But we still operate dump sites even in Lagos. Is there an alternative or plans in future to maybe sort of find a way to recycle environmental friendly ways? Then there's also the issue of people burning. I remember back in BRF government, it was law in Lagos that you cannot be burning at the roadside. If you come along Mile 2, you can just see a haze of dark smoke because some people are supposedly picking bottles in just after Agboju between First Gate, and they carry out burning that will just darken everywhere. Who goes around these people? Number one, stopping them and then enlightening them on the dangers of what they do. Because not only does it cause environmental pollution, but once we are driving early in the morning, that can cloud your screen and you miss anything.
Okay. The truth is, government cannot do it alone. We do not have the human resource to put everyone to put people in each local government to start looking out for air pollution. We encourage people to report. And these 6 machines we have is to assist in that reporting objectively. But for Lagos, we would need about 40 to be able to cover everywhere and say, you have polluted, and I have evidence, verifiable scientific evidence. And what do we do? If you tell us that a certain area of Lagos, in fact, Ikorodu was not from complaints. It was from what we picked up on the machines. Tell us, we would go there and find out what is causing this pollution. And saying during BRF's time is a little bit perturbing, because the law is still the law.
It's still here now.
The law has not changed. We operate on LASEPA 2017, updated law. And the law says it is an offense to burn anything in the open air or to dispose of refuse in an environmentally unfriendly way. It is also an offense to recycle without being accredited as a recycler by agencies like LASEPA, Lagos State Waste Management Agency. So you can't just put plastics together and smell and say you are recycling.
Let me take this call from Olatunji Lagbado. Good morning, Olatunji. Are you there?
Good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Please, what is LASEPA doing to all these people playing along the road? Like some phone sellers, they will put their
noise pollution.
Something on the road.
Speaker.
You know, advertising, come and buy phone, deposit, deposit your money.
Yes.
You know,
thank you.
What is that?
So there's noise pollution. People wake up at 5:30 in the morning. People are praising. Come on, give your life to Christ. Those on the roads. We have those who are calling to come and do, buy medications, all sorts in the buses, on road, in public places.
So I want to be specific now. LASEPA's law, section 182, subsection 1 and 2, says it is an offense to propagate your beliefs, advertise your goods, or pass a message with an amplifier in a public space.
Wow. Are you sure?
And it is punishable by a fine or a time in jail. I'll tell you a nice story. You all know LASEPA has been dealing with noise pollution. Yes, there's a certain organization who they go out every morning to evangelize. Everyone has a freedom to speech. Everyone has a freedom to preaching.
Yeah.
But you don't have a freedom to use a microphone in Lagos State. And after shutting down this very massive church, and the general overseer would not give me an abatement plan, he would not give me a noise management plan, it stayed short. And we had to sign an agreement, MOU, binding by law, that none of your members would go out. Time-bound, though, we gave them about 8 weeks. After 8 weeks, please, if anyone sees anyone with reflector jacket and microphone, call LASEPA. LASEPA, at LASEPA official, that's our handle. And we have phone numbers that we're going to scroll down. Or visit our website. We have CRM where you can upload what you are saying and send to us. There's also City Monitor that the Ministry of Environment is launching. It's an app. You just download it. It can help you catch infractions, and you can report anonymously.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, so, listening to you, I wonder how many times are you back and forth in court with different organizations?
Oh, because the truth is, they don't even wait to go to court. Nobody wants to be labeled as a polluter. And when LASEPA, without fear or prejudice, when we stop whatever you're doing, you're not comfortable because it's at times a money-making venture or a calling or something. So they don't wait till court.
Yeah. So do you do jingles?
Yeah,
because your jingles should be out there informing, because the laws you've reeled out now are almost silent.
Oh, no, we get about 1,000 complaints a day.
The complaints in my environment come to me.
Educating people.
But you see,
so we understand
my own religion says, go into the world and preach the gospel.
Without microphone.
So we have to preach.
Microphone.
Did they say shout ye into the world?
So the issue is not the preaching. The issue is the microphone.
So there's also something called a sound permit for the last caller.
Okay.
Sound permits. We permit you to exceed acceptable decibels. But over a period of time, that's exceeding the acceptable decibels is measured. Those people that advertise phones, they come to us to get a sound permit. And it is time-bound. You can only do it for 4 days or 1 week, and you must not exceed this. In fact, we have some of our staff stay there to monitor what they're doing. And in developed countries as well. I mean, we can't expect the air to be quiet and still.
Yeah.
We want entrepreneurship, we want businesses. You see people by tube stations playing their music and asking you, but you will notice it doesn't disturb you.
Yes. Because
some even use microphones, and policemen are around. But the volume is monitored, they know it's constant. It's a long battle. We will continue to fight.
So because of the effect we know of pollution on our health, what I want you to talk more on the educating part. You know, we understand punishment it comes, but even as regular, normal indigenes of Lagos State, people that reside in Lagos State, what are the things I can put in place right now? Like in my estate, on Sundays, no form of construction work or anything is allowed within the estate. So I can see people trying to take those tiny steps within their smaller communities. What else can we do?
Well, that's very encouraging. As a matter of fact, the laws of Lagos State, in terms of noise pollution and particulate matter, the law of LASEPA says you cannot construct after 7 p.m. Yes. And if you're constructing, you have to have a safety net. All this, not soundproof, safety nets.
Protect the
You cannot build without making noise. But those particles should stay within your area, and that's why you wear goggles, masks, and so the education really is itself. You have to protect yourself. It's like Corona. If you notice that there's massive outdoor pollution around you, report and protect yourself. Shut your windows. Use your air conditioners. Indoors, also make sure you have cross ventilation. There's something called cross ventilation. Because there's indoor air pollution from cigarette smoking, from burning coal and wood. So those stories of a whole family died after eating amala, but there's one generator and all the doors are closed. That's carbon monoxide poisoning, not the amala.
Let me take this call and hold in. Good morning, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Mariah.
Go ahead, Mrs. Benson.
Yes, I said good morning, Mariah.
Morning.
Yesterday, I was actually right in front of TVC. Please, I really want you to look at what is happening on the CMD road. Please pay a particular attention to the guys there from the local government. And I want to use this opportunity to call out. I want to use this opportunity to call out the local government chairperson, Bolanle Bada. I don't know whether she's part of the people sending her voice to CMD road. By the time you son or do anything on CMD road, you are being harassed. And that is highly unfair. People exploiting people, collecting money from people. And exactly what happened yesterday, I was out with my car and I saw a lady called Kachi being molested, being harassed by the guy. I told my driver to turn back. And I went straight to them. And I could recognize some familiar faces Yeah.
Oh, we lost that call. Mrs. Benson would definitely like to reach you again. She's complaining about something that happened on CMD, pretty close by here. Harassment. We have to find out from the local government to see what's going on with her boys.
Can we take some comments?
We have to take a few comments on this. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Molu says, during the COVID-19 lockdown, I monitor air pollution on CNN for several cities worldwide. For the first time in many years, Lagos, that was always on red color, started achieving green color, which is very good for the first time for many months. Yes. I always monitor that report. That's giving you people credit for doing your work. But then...
No, let me tell you what had happened. In fact, we had a webinar right after that. And I had to ask a question. Must we have a pandemic to have clean air and blue skies? I don't know if you followed.
I follow.
So I just said that the highest emitter of pollution or pollutants and particulates matter in the air is traffic. So what had happened was there was no movement.
People were indoors.
The generators in the clubs and restaurants were on the down low. In fact, not only clean air, birds were coming out to play. Yes, I was hearing chirping.
They were making fun of me when I would come on the show and say, have you guys noticed the blue skies, the green trees? I was like, oh, Miriam has come again. It was so obvious. It did happen.
But we don't need a pandemic for that to happen. In fact, Nigeria had an index of 1. Lagos, one of the best in the world during that time. Because the governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, was very strict on that stay at home, don't come to work.
We're running out of time.
Is there something I want to ask
you? Most people are talking enforcement.
A lot of awareness in local languages, playing over and over, so that people are sensitized on how to avoid this sort of pollutions and how they can easily report, companies around them that emit pollution.
Because of time, I will join a question so you can add, because I don't want you to leave without answering this question. It's going to be a difficult question, but try to answer it. In this area where you said that it's highly polluted, there are schools there, there are children, and you told us the percentage for the 48%, of which quite a number of them are children under 5. If I'm a mother living in this area right now, I'll be concerned. And my child has been going to school in this area
for years.
What can the government do to alleviate my own fear? Or what can I do for myself at this moment with this information that my community is polluted?
So I've told you what the government is doing and what we will continue to do. There's no compromise. I am a medical doctor, so I know the health impacts of air pollution, and I will not rest on my oars and watch children develop asthma unnecessarily. You know, last year, CNN announced for the first time in UK that a young lady died of air pollution. That was the first time they will say cause of death, not secondary to air pollution. Air pollution killed her. They were living in an industrial area, and she's an asthmatic. They fought this battle over and over and over. So right now, we can have air pollution as a cause of death. And why would any responsible government sit back and continue to let that happen? And that is why all the steel industries are not working right now. And then for mothers and children, watch your children. If they show any sign of allergy, running eyes, running nose, or upper respiratory kata, I can't breathe, I'm coughing, immediately take them to the nearest health center. And if it is diagnosed to be as a result of what he is exposed to, please move from that area.
So that's the short-term plan.
That's short-term plan, whilst we continue to monitor and regulate.
And to our question of sensitizing different languages, you are going out.
Yes, and that's why I'm on this show as well, to say that air pollution kills.
So you report your neighbor's generator that is facing your house, and you'll be sure that you'll be enforced?
We have gone into domestic homes to seal generator houses, take away the battery. Because if your exhaust is bad, if you have not serviced the white man that made generator was not thinking, it didn't make it to pollute the air. So if we use it appropriately, service when necessary, it will not cause air pollution.
We need to sensitize people to service their cars.
That's all we can take. Thank you very much for coming to our show. We're going to bring you back because we're monitoring the work you're doing, you know, and we are concerned about air pollution, plastic pollution, noise pollution, all the pollution. All the pollution. We'll try to see what follow up with you, what you're doing, and hope that Nigerians can understand, help you sensitize Nigerians to make sure they clean the environment better. That's all we can take on the show today. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.